Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Big Brian Ortiz, and I go by Obsidian Bear.
And you have a few other nicknames as well, right?
Well, the other one's just either Big, which is short for Big Brian, or um, it's Lacamayo, which just means Obsidian Bear in Nahuatl.
Okay, I see. And can you tell us which band we're talking about today?
Yeah, we're talking about my band Tzompantli. We have a new record coming out, so yeah, people seem to be interested in wanting to hear what I have to say about it. So that's pretty cool.
And Brian, how would you describe the music of Tzompantli? Actually, let me
Uh,
before you get to there, um,
yeah.
can you can you say the band name one more time? I'm going to try and pronounce it correctly.
Yeah. Zompantli.
Tzompantli. Is
Zompantli,
that
yeah.
close? Okay.
Yeah, that's good. It's actually really good.
And how do you describe the music of Tzompantli?
I mean, in basic terms, it's just death doom. Um, with a lot of indigenous elements. I tried to kind of incorporate some folk elements, a lot of percussion elements, things of that nature. A lot of just like native indigenous type of influences that go into making this kind of death doom. You know, I guess that's the best way to describe it. But yeah, definitely death doom. With I try to get like a lot of like visuals and aesthetics and atmosphere from black metal. Even though I don't think black metal is, you don't hear it in the sound, but it's kind of under the surface a little bit. But yeah, death doom, native death doom, indigenous death doom.
So I should mention that we did a Q&A interview a few years ago where you you talked about the origins of the band and what your intentions were when you started. So
Mm-hmm.
people uh, can go to the blog and read that interview if they want. But for the people who haven't, can you just briefly tell me about why you put this project together?
Yeah. So basically, like the short answer is, I've always wanted to do like an indigenous or like I basically want to start like the Mexican version of Nile, where like Nile does a lot of Egyptian mythology. I wanted to do that, but with death metal and doom metal or death doom because it's like my favorite. It's my favorite subgenre, and so I had a lot of like doom riffs that I had wrote for my other band, but like I kind of felt like they were a little too doomy for that other project, and we didn't get around to using them. So I just had like a couple riffs that I kind of basically just wrote death metal songs or death metal riffs around, and always wanting to start like a Nile-esque project about Mexican folklore, indigenous folklore, Mesoamerican folklore, whatever you want to call it. I basically thought, well, this is my chance. I had put out a previous project that was all me, so I knew that I can do it just by myself. So I wanted to kind of try it out. Plus, I was inspired by a lot of the one man black metal bands. Um, so I figured, like, I'm gonna give it a try, and it came out really well. I recorded the house with like shitty mics and basically just in a room that wasn't soundproofed, nothing, and people seemed to like it, so I kind of I kept at it, and yeah, I basically got like fuck, I think it was like, I want to say it was tax. I think it was I had got a pretty good tax return back, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to like record a full length because I had all the like new songs written, and I kind of used that towards the full length. And then I shopped it to $20, and they picked it up, and then that's the album, the last album, which is Tlaxcala Lead Sleep.
Uh, would you describe Tzompantli as a solo project? Because you've had a number of collaborators over the years, but it seems like everything starts with you.
Yeah, yeah. I guess at its heart, it was a solo project. I mean, I guess it still kind of is a solo project because I basically write all the music. I kind of flesh everything out, and then once we're in the studio, like on this record particularly, this new one, I basically wrote and fleshed everything out. I had an idea of what the songs were, but I intentionally didn't write any lead guitars or things of that nature because I wanted to kind of do that in the studio, and I wanted to invite my homies and my friends that had helped with performing the songs live. I wanted to kind of bring them in and have them play on the record, not so much as like guest spots because I mean I do kind of consider them part of the band, and being like a collective of musicians that help out with the live set. But I really wanted to include them because they've helped me so much. I figured like why stop there, like let's see what we can do. And I also thought it would be a good idea to kind of just get like a fresh perspective on lead guitars because um I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've progressed musically. I've just I just kind of do what I do, and um I just didn't want the lead sounding like the last record either, so like I figured I can get a fresh set of riffs and lead guitars or solos, what have you, and put them on this record. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a solo thing, but it's kind of not. It's somewhere in between, I guess. I don't really know. I don't think it's completely a solo, but some people might take it as a solo project. But I don't know. I'll leave it to people's imagination.
I want to talk about the indigenous culture uh, that you use for inspiration for the lyrics and for the concept of the band. Now, is
Mhm.
this Aztec culture?
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of it does center around the Aztec or the Mexica culture. Um, but I also take folklore from the Chichimex as well, which is a tribe that was just north of where the Mexica or the Aztecs were located.
Now, were all these cultures located around where present day Mexico is?
Correct. Yeah, the Chichimex are near like Zacatecas and north of Zacatecas. A lot of parts of northern central northern Mexico, and then the Mexica are like the central Mexico, where present day Mexico City is at.
So you mentioned that you wanted to do something like Nile, uh, the way Nile used Egyptian culture, ancient Egyptian culture, uh, as a uh, as a concept to write death metal around. I'm curious
Mhm.
why the Mexica and the Aztec culture was something that you wanted to integrate with doom metal. Why did you feel it was a good fit?
I mean, honestly, I thought that it was. I mean, a lot of the history is really interesting. I mean, I always felt kind of connected to it because I mean, I was raised. Um, I mean, I've been raised in around a lot of Mexicans. I mean, I'm Mexican American, but when you're raised around that you know that culture and stuff, you do get this sense of like Aztec pride and stuff like that. But it's so surface level that I wanted to kind of dig deeper. And after I graduated high school and started bands and stuff like that, I always kind of like read about stuff that I wanted to learn about, which is a lot of like the Mexica and the Maya, of course the Chichimex and the Olmecs and different the civilizations that were in Mexico, because I was proud of being Mexican, and I kind of wanted to like kind of prop those stories and the folklore and the mythology up. Plus, it's I mean I don't want to say that like I mean to be honest, I mean we all know like the Mexica you could be pretty brutal at times. So I thought that was a pretty um, good jumping point for like starting like a death metal band. It's like, oh, well, you know, these dudes are, you know, pretty brutal and very warfare oriented. You know, death metal loves warfare. Death metal loves brutality. So, um, and human sacrifice. So, you know, I feel like it would kind of go well with each other. But I didn't want it to just be like dumbed down. Like I wanted it to be like more like the spiritual side of it, like the rituals, the ritualistic ceremonious side to it, you know. And um but yeah, that's kind of what I was going for, and why I kind of thought that the Mexica would be like a, you know, probably one of the best um kind of avenues to, or like, you know, tribes to kind of like write about, because there, you know, there's a lot of cool history there. It's really interesting. um and yeah, it's like a lot of our ancestors kind of descend from that area of Mexico. And so yeah, I just thought, I just was, you know, like I said, it's all rooted in just being proud of my culture and my heritage. So I kind of wanted to, you know, just kind of write about it more explicitly.
And we should explain to people what a Tzompantli is in the Mexica culture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Sampanli was basically a rack of skulls. So the literal translation is skull rack. Um, and what they did was they would kind of put them on display. And the skulls came from like sacrificial victims that were mostly prisoners of war. And there was also like these like kind of like brick, like almost like brick and mortar, but it's like more like skull and mortar. They would have these kind of like this like wall or like a monolithic structure of skull and mortar, some Ponleys too. Um, and yeah, it was so sometimes that they were real skulls, sometimes that they were just they were stone was fashioned into a skull. But yeah, that's essentially what the Sampanli is. So, you know, it sounds like, when you know the definition of it, you know, it sounds fucking, you know, sick, like death metal sick, you know.
In addition to the folklore and uh, the culture influencing the lyrics and the song titles, you also use indigenous instrumentation. Can you tell me a little bit about the instrumentation that you use?
Yeah, yeah. The main one that I used, I think everyone knows, is the the death whistle, the Mexica death whistle. And that just kind of like it's essentially like a it's a wind instrument. So when you blow into it, it just makes this kind of like shrieking scream. And depending on how you cup where the sound comes out, like it can make different sounds. You could also get it to make a high pitch, like almost like a bird call. So I that's what I usually utilize the most. And then I a lot of like shakers and shells to kind of helps keep time. I use a lot of those, and of course, like the percussion. I use a what it's called a huehue, which is essentially just like an Aztec drum. It's like a big drum, kind of similar to a floor tom. And of course, I use floor toms to kind of fill the sound out. But yeah, those are like the main ones that I utilize: the shells, the death whistle, and the added percussion. And then
So
hopefully a flute in the future. I just have to kind of I have to learn, and I have to buy one. But yeah, hopefully in the coming records, I'll incorporate a flute and shit.
you don't want to just hire a flute player?
Nah, I want to learn. I feel more connected when I, you know, when I do that stuff. And plus, like I've taught like myself like most actually all the instruments that I play, so might as well just kind of keep it going, you know. Oh, also, there's this little it's like a hollowed out bark called a teponatsli, and that's like it's like a really hollow drum type thing. I use one of those on the record too.
And
Oh, the
we'll speak
records,
about
excuse me.
yeah, and we'll speak about the new record shortly. Uh, I think we talked about this in our Q&A, but uh, when do when does the additional instrumentation, the indigenous instrumentation, come in to the songs? Do you write with
Um,
this instrumentation in mind?
I do. I mean, okay, hold on. I do and I don't. So there's certain like riffs and stuff that like I kind of build the song first. But sometimes I will have like a percussion drum or like a wewe in mind, and I'll come up with a pattern, and then I'll build off of that pattern, and then just kind of build around that. So it just depends. I'm kind of like I don't really know how to explain it, but sometimes like I'll just have like a random instrument in my head, and I kind of use that to kind of figure out what I'm gonna do. Like sometimes it'll be a drum beat, and then like I'll like like play the drum beat like on my desk or whatever, just like messing around, and then I'll like just kind of like in my head, I'll just randomly get a riff in my head, and then I usually kind of just like stop what I'm doing, and I get the tempo, and then I record the drums, and then I hum the guitar I hum the guitar if I don't have a guitar, if I'm not near a guitar or whatever. But sometimes it'll be the other way around. I'll just kind of like um on, on one song I just found like, and then I kind of just recorded that, and then I just kind of played drums after that just to kind of go with the flow, and then um I just started layering guitars over that, kind of put this, started building the song that way. So like sometimes I like it's just gonna be just like your meat and potatoes um instruments, but then sometimes like I'll have like I'll purposely write parts where like native instruments can go in, and then I also write songs that like where it's native instrument dominant, and then I kind of just like have like the guitars kind of come out of nowhere to kind of make it fuller and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of go with the flow, to be honest with you. Like just whatever pops in my head when I'm feeling like inspired.
Yeah, it's interesting the process that you just described. It sounds like the drums are a big part of the sound. Like you envision the drums even before you have the rest of the song mapped out.
Yeah, definitely. Because so when I started playing music, so my dad's a drummer, and then I learned some years back that my grandfather, his dad, was a bass player. He played like those big Mexican, like those big, like big fat Mexican basses that had like a small neck. He played one of those. Um, so I think I feel like it's just kind of in my DNA. But I taught myself to play drums in secret or whatever. So that was the first thing that I learned, because it was the only instrument that I had, because we couldn't really afford guitars, and my dad had a drum set that because he used to play drums in a band like in the early '80s and stuff like that, and then he his drum set that he kept all those years got burnt or something like that. So eventually he got a new one, like maybe like around when I was like in eighth grade, ninth grade, and I would hear him play, and I was like, man, like my dad's really good or whatever. Like, but like I wanted to play guitar, but I couldn't. We couldn't afford to get a guitar, and um, it was like basically like they were, they weren't like like they didn't want to take a gamble on like on buying a guitar and then like I lose interest. You know what I mean? So I forced myself to learn how to play drums just to kind of like because I wanted to play music. So I learned the drums, but of course, like when I in learning the drums, I fell in love with the drums, and um I always have like the drums in my I feel like at my heart like I'm a drummer first and foremost, even though I'm not that fucking good at drums, but like in like programming the drums, I can kind of make people think that I'm good, but yeah, I
So,
always like I would say I think of drum beats more than I do the guitar, and then the guitar kind of comes afterwards.
okay. Out of
If that makes
curiosity,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Out of curiosity, what kind of music did your dad play?
So what were they called? They were called the Prodigy, not Prodigy like Prodigy, but they were called the Prodigy, and they're from like I think like they started like in 81, I think, or something like that. 80, 81. And it was kind of like your like typical kind of like almost like proto metal type stuff. So it's like more classic rock. But they have like some riffs that you're like, okay, like if you add a little bit more distortion to this, like this could easily be like Judas Priest or Iron Maiden. Um, but it was just like really like local, kind of like proto metal, classic rock type stuff.
Interesting. You said
Oh
something
yeah.
about programming the drums. Uh, do you do most of your writing around a DAW, around recording software?
Oh yeah, definitely. So like I actually do everything on my phone. I have GarageBand on my phone, and that I do all of the writing on my phone. I just like I program the drums. Um, I kind of get them like just like sound basic, and then like once I start playing guitar and I start like jamming, essentially jamming with myself is when I start adding like the little intricacies on the drums, and then when I listen back or whatever, or if I'm listening like if I'm listening back in my head, and not with it, that's usually where I kind of get some of the the little intricacies like the rolls or the like stop and go or whatever. But yeah, I do. That's how I do all of my writing.
Now, on the first EP, was were those programmed drums, or was that you playing drums?
No, those are all programmed. Yeah, I just kind of like try to like adjust some of the levels, and then I layer. I think I did like two layers of drums, and one of them had like a little bit of reverb. Um, so like I tried to get them sounding like I guess as real as possible, or at least not so much as real as possible, but like so they didn't sound like completely fake, just like maybe triggered at best. But yeah, those are all fake.
So let's talk about the new album. It's called
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Beating the Drums of Ancestral Force, and it'll be released on
Yes.
the 17th of May through 20 Buck Spin.
Oh yeah.
When did you start working on this album?
So I wrote the first song on the album is the first song that I wrote, and that was I want to say a month after La Scala Litzli was released. At least the main riff was written, and then I slowly build upon it, like when I feel inspired. But I started writing it like maybe about a month after the first LP dropped, month or two after. Actually, no, I take that back. It was about a month and a half to 2 months after, because every time a record drops in whatever project I do, I kind of like don't touch like my instruments for for a while, you know. So yeah, I want to say it was probably about 2 months after that record came out. So I think it came out in May. So I think in like like July, maybe early August is when I started writing. And I remember when I started writing, it was hot, so it was definitely like summertime.
How would you compare this to the previous album, the debut?
Um, you know what? I don't know, man. Like I feel like you're gonna get what what I write. I will say I am a little bit more confident on like the like vocal placement. So like I feel like the vocals I think are better, um, just placement wise, rhythmic wise, maybe creative wise. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this record is just kind of a little bit more thought out, and um, I don't know. It feels bigger to me. Like it just feels like it's a bigger sounding record, um, and just like more planned out. I took my time with writing the songs, and I would like constantly edit and what's the other word? Yeah, just fucking edit. You know, make sure that everything is right. With the last record, I did that too, but I don't think I did it at a scale that I did with this record. This record, I took my time, and I think it'll show in some of the songwriting. But yeah, it's definitely a fuller sounding record, a little bit more, maybe a little bit more tricks, like different tricks, different techniques that I add, but nothing too crazy. Like you're still gonna get a Tzompantli record, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think of vocals wise, like you'll definitely hear a progression in the vocals.
It feels like this time around the atmospheric and drone elements are more prominent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? I now that you mention it, probably yeah. I don't even know. I basically just kind of like the bands that I rip off for this project. I are the same bands that I ripped off for the last album, and I mean I did want it to be like I did want to up the atmosphere a little bit, so I did going into this wanting to do that. I will say that there is one song that it feels like the first half of the album is just, or excuse me, the first half of the song is just like all like it's mostly like it feels like kind of like a black metal song, but um, it's really not. So I tried to do like new things, while still keeping like the, the core influences in there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Can you
really
tell
bad at
me?
describing my fucking music sometimes.
No, that was a good explanation. Uh, can you tell me a little bit about the collaborators that you brought in this time around?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So uh my homie Manny Manzik, he played the guitar on on one of the songs. He did the leads, and for the first single, which is Tlalwali, he did the leads for that song. Me and him go way back. I've known him for probably over 20 years now. We've been friends, and we're both from Pomona, and yeah, we've just been friends for a long time. So like collaborating with him and working with him is something that we've always wanted to do. We just never really had the time to do it. So when I asked him to start helping with this project in performing live, he was um, he was stoked to help, and I really wanted him to kind of help um, with the leads because he's an amazing guitar player. So he is one of them. Manny Sanchez, and then another one was my homie Matt, which I actually played in a band with him for about a year, maybe about 10 years ago now. It was kind of like a grindcore kind of sludge band. And so like me and him, same thing too. Like I met him in 2004, so yeah, we've been friends for 20 years now, and I've just always kind of trusted his musical ear, and his attention to detail. So he was actually the first person that I asked if he would help play live. He was the first one that I hit up because I knew he could do the job very well. Um, and then on top of him being my one of my best friends, like I was just like, yo, I really want you to, um, help me with the lead. I have this song written out. Listen to it, write a lead, and then when we go into the studio, play it. He actually helped me with one of the arrangements, and he was like, "Hey, there's this little part where you do this kind of like thing that you don't really know what's to do there." He's like, "What if we did this?" I have this riff written, so he sent me the riff, and it was kind of like a little too the like BPMs or the rhythm didn't really match, but I took the riff that he had wrote and I just kind of like slowed it down a smidge, and I used just different notes, but the idea is completely his. And I was like, "Hey, I took that riff that you did, and I did this with it in the middle of the song." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds even better." And so we left that in the song. He did a lead over that, and then he did the solo that came after that. And he is another collaborator. Of course, my homie E-Roll, which is the engineer who engineered and recorded and mastered the record. Um, he played drums on the last record. So on this one, he actually just mainly just did the production part of it, but he does do a couple of leads, lead and solos as well. Because he's just a phenomenal fucking musician. And he plays in a band called Teeth, where he plays guitar and sings in. And so he's just a phenomenal guitar player. So he helped a lot. My homie Justin, he goes by J Nut. He plays in a band called Dead Heat, and he offered his guitar work on like a solo lead on one of the songs as well. Um, who else? There's a lot of motherfuckers that help with this record. um, my homie Jason, he offered a lot of percussion, and like layer building on the percussion. He plays in my other band, Shabalba. He plays drums in that band. So he helps a lot with the vocals, in terms of like layering the vocals and then making them sound big and adding the kind of like gang vocal element to it. He had helped with that. Our homie Justin, who sings in that band Teeth, he helps with the live shows too. He added vocals. Um, Rolly, who engineered it and played guitar a little bit. He also added vocals. Um, who else did vocals? Our friend Lord Fowl from Siverus. He does vocals live. He wasn't available to do vocals for the record, unfortunately, but he helps us live when we play. So he's pretty much in. He's in the band. Um, Let me see who else. And then last but not least, oh, actually no, there's still a few people. My cousin Matt, he helped with percussion, the folk instruments. Um, and then our homie Alejandro, he played drums on. He sessioned for the record. He too plays in a band called Teeth. So I basically have like all of Teeth on the record. That helped kind of get everything going. But he did a fucking great job on the record playing the drums, and he also added some of the vocals too with the percussion and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of fucking co-conspirators, a lot of motherfuckers that kind of helped me.
So for the collaborators, how much of a heads up did they get about what they were contributing before you were in the studio? Or did you just bring them in and play them the parts they're going to play on the day?
uh, they knew beforehand, but I did want it to kind of be organic, so I kind of wanted them to like listen to it and then like kind of go off the cuff. Um, but for some of the leads, I think two guitar players. I think Matt and Justin. Matt kind of knew he had been practicing his lead for a while. Justin kind of went in and was like, "All right, let me hear the song." Okay, and then he just fucking went with it. Um, same thing with Manny. He listened to the song I think like the day before, and then the day of, and then came in and then did it. So um, I did let them know that I was what songs that they would be doing, and I sent them my little kind of like pre-production demos of it from my phone, so that they got an idea of it. Um, but a lot of the percussion stuff we went with the flow, like me, Jason, Alejandro, and Mateo, my cousin. We A lot of that stuff was kind
Sorry.
of off the cuff.
So as you mentioned, you recorded this with Rolly from Teeth, who also played drums on the previous album. What do you like about
Yeah,
working with
yeah.
Rolly? And what would you say he brings to the song?
Um, you know what? Rolly is just a fucking sick motherfucking individual. He's just a cool motherfucking cat. He and like I said earlier, he is just like he's probably one of the best musicians that I know. Like he just has a musician's ear. Like that's his fucking life. He was created to make music and be involved in music. He's just a phenomenal fucking musician. But he knows what I'm going for, and he kind of gets that sound. He gets that sound out of me. Um, he also gives me a freedom to do what I want, and then he puts his 2 cents in where he feels it's necessary. Um, but I don't know, like a lot of times I find myself asking him like, "Hey, like, how does this sound? Does this sound cool?" And he'll usually give me the thumbs up or be like, it does, but let's tweak it a little bit. And like, he's honest in that way as well. So he's not just kind of fucking stroking my ego or just trying to get me in and out. Like he's actually like takes time with the records, which I appreciate. But yeah, and then funny thing about him, me and him go way back as well. Um, I recorded a demo with him when I was in a hardcore band back in like 2004, 2005. And even before that, I used to see his old hardcore bands too. And so like we had each other for 20 years. I record with them and then touch over the years and follow each other's musical, careers and stuff like that. Just like that way. And then like I don't know, some years ago, I just kind of went to him for one of my projects, and I was like, "Hey, would you mind recording me?" And he's like, "Oh hell yeah!" And he's like, "Yeah, man, it's good to see you." Like at that point, we hadn't seen each other for a couple of years, so um, we kind of just like after I recorded that demo with him, um, the side project that I had, mortuary punishment. We connected and we kept in touch. I would send him music and like, hey, I'm working on this, and when I started Tzompantli, I would send him the songs. He said, "Oh, this actually sounds really cool. You record this in your fucking house, like on your phone? Like what the fuck? What kind of psycho shit is this?" And then um, I was like, "Hey man, I want to do a full length with you," and he was like, "Well, fuck yeah, let's fucking do it." And then we got around to doing it, and yeah, he just kind of he offered to help perform live, if I needed it as well. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Yeah, it's just great guy to work with, fucking, and yeah, he'll make your fucking record sound great too. So he's just very professional, very kind, and yeah, just a sick motherfucking individual.
And he handled everything up to the mastering, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he engineered it, mixed it, and mastered it.
Now, as far as playing live goes, how does that work? You have this collective of talent that you can draw from. Is it basically up to availability?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, it's just to whoever's available. Luckily, like I give them like far enough notice, you know, um, to where like a lot of times it's not an issue. Plus, we don't really play that much anyway, so it's it's it kind of works for everybody. Um, and when we do play, we do center around like a weekend to where we're all kind of not working and stuff because we all kind of have like real life jobs, families, kids, all that good stuff. So
Now, do you guys have anything planned for the summer or maybe later on in the year?
no, I mean, I've been thinking about maybe setting up a release show, but I'm not really sure yet. Like I don't know. Like I love writing music, I love creating music, but when it comes to playing, I'm kind of not really down as much as I used to be. But seeing how the first album, or excuse me, the first single went, and it seems to be going like pretty cool, or everything seems to be pretty positive surrounding it. It did kind of like make me think about doing some kind of release show, or something for the summer around the release of the album. So nothing set in stone, but I think it'll happen. Just have to see if everyone's available, and what we can do to get something booked.
So by the time people hear this episode or watch it on YouTube, Beating the Drums of Ancestral Force will be out through 20 bucks bin. Brian, please tell people how they can order the album. What's the best way to get it?
The best way to order the album would be on the 20 bucks spin website, and or their Bandcamp. That would be the best way to order the record. Um,
Now,
and then,
i-
I mean, if we do play at some point, if you come see us, I think we'll have our versions. But yeah,
can you tell me a little bit about the vinyl versions that 20 bucks bin are putting out? I think there's four variants, right?
yeah. So there's the the red, green, and white, which is the Mexican flag variant. There's a blue, white, and blue, which is an El Salvadoran um, variant. Because my well, one of my best friends, Jason, who helped with the record, and sings on the record a lot, and does the production, or percussion. He's El Salvadoran, so I kind of wanted to kind of pay homage to that, and also yeah, El Salvadorans are just as indigenous as we are, so I kind of wanted to kind of just show support and love for them as well. And then a couple of the other stock variants, which is like I think like a red orangey kind of, it kind of matches the album cover. And then there's one that Decibel did. I don't remember what variant that one is, but you can order those on Decibel's website. Those are available for pre-order. So they have like a hundred a unique color variant. I just don't know what that is off the top of my head. And then of course your stock black.
And if people want to follow Tzompantli online and get announcements about when live dates might be happening, what's the best way to do that?
The best way would be on Instagram, and Twitter. Same handle. It's at Tzompantli Doom. And I think we have a Facebook too, but I don't fucking check Facebook. So I would say Instagram and Twitter is probably the best way.
And is all the merch going through the Bandcamp page?
Yeah, so far all the merch right now is through 20 bucks spin, their Bandcamp, and their website. We may do a merch rollout through our merch store, because I think we just sold out of everything after the single dropped. So I have to kind of get things in gear with that. To be honest, I've been putting that shit off, man. I don't really, like all the stuff like this, the fucking weird logistic shit. Like I'm not good at it, man. I just like want to put the record out, and have people listen to it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
I mean, yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for asking to do this. I appreciate it. Um, I hope everyone enjoys the record. I definitely and my close homies, my close friends, we worked really hard on it. So I think people will like it. I hope they do. And yeah, man, I just hope people continue to support us and just yeah. That's all I really got to say. Shout out to all the Tzompantli tribe dudes because yeah, they fucking help out a lot. It's fucking sick.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, man. Thank you.